Hi, this is Mara Kelly again, and I want to invite you to visit my website, which is adventurousaging.com. I believe that Dr. David will have it up for you. But I wanted to continue on that people say, well, how important in your lifespan is food? So let's try the seven things that make us a human being versus an animal. First is awareness. And that can be whatever you like to call it, nature, God, religion. But you have to be something aware of yourself, beyond yourself. Secondly is breath. You know, when you die, Dr. Davis, MD, will say, you know, they can take your heart, they can take your lungs and so forth. But when your breath stops, that's when you're dead. So it's very important that you breathe deeply. Anything, for instance, Tai Chi is so popular in China. Example of the deep breathing helpfulness. Thirdly is sleep. One of the worst things that they can take away from prisoners is not let them sleep. Probably that will get them to do almost anything they say, because after 3 days your mind is pretty messed up. The fourth thing is elimination, because if you do not have liquid elimination within 24 hours, the waste material will go to the brain. So it is very important. That's why the people in operations are catheterized. Next is exercise, because without the exercise, you wouldn't have the elimination. The next one is water, because we can go a long time without food, not very long without water. And last, the seventh is food. So of course what we eat is important, but is number 7 on the list. So I would say that work on the first 6, which is important. Lastly, our next is the people that are over 100. They have one thing that they eat in common, and it is something that in lecturing that I hold up a paper bag and then have people guess what this is. So I won't have you doing this. But it goes back to biblical days. This, as far as all recorded history goes, the one food are grains. For instance, the old-fashioned oatmeal, Quaker Oats. Not the quickie, but the old-fashioned kind. And I don't care if I take it when traveling with just water. Just get it soft. And it's something you can eat in the morning and you play 9 holes of golf or attend the entire day. Large bowl of oatmeal. It doesn't have to be heated. Just oatmeal. We have other things that are in common, such as people over 100 have lived in the 2nd and the 3rd-story house because they do their exercise, and a lot of them are still doing a lot of exercise. So it is never too late to begin. I will tell you one story that's fascinating. When I was doing my practicum, we had the participants were between 90 and 100. We got people like Nike to donate shoes, because often volunteers for this cannot afford, and they're doing it because they're paid a stipend for doing what they're doing. But we were trying to get them to everyday activities such as reaching up to get something from the cabinet, or just plain walking. And the average, you ask, well, how much did they improve? Most people will say, 25%. People that not only did they improve, average 300%. Now remember, these people were not very active, but the ones that have lived since then, and we followed up a 2-year program, 2 years, they are still active. They have not lost any disability. So, as many books have been written on the subject, exercise is extremely, extremely important. Keep going. Also, it is not so much what you're eating as the amount of it. If we would just unsupersize our food, and the ones that people are eating out, if we would, and it's a very easy thing to do nowadays, very common to ask for a doggy bag or a box to take home in. You can order one dinner and have it for the next day. And speaking of food, time to have your best and biggest food intake is in the morning. I know this sounds very Well, it's what our grandparents did, though. They would wake up and they would have a huge breakfast before they would go out in the fields and plowing the fields or walking to school. The kids said they would walk 5 miles to school, grandparents. So they would always have good, usually hot breakfast. If you can do this, this is great. Secondly, try to eat, as I said, like a king for breakfast, a prince for lunch, and a pauper for dinner. If you can have a good lunch and also separate it, go to the park if you're working downtown. Go somewhere that you can be with other people, or you can even be quiet or read a book. It's very important that we ingest our food in a pleasant atmosphere. And lastly, dinner. It's interesting is that we don't want too many liquids versus too much water before going to sleep. But if you will fast between 8 at night and 8 in the morning, usually getting in bed earlier, it is the equivalent of one of the best ways to lose weight, and this has been scientifically proven again. Also, the fasting, first thing in the morning, if you will drink a lot of water, it will wake you up. And conversely, in the middle of the night, if you take cool water and put it on your arms or legs and chest, it will make you sleep sounder. The reason why, it's very interesting, is that we go to bed when we're cold, like a bear going in its cave. And we wake up like the bear does when warm weather comes. We wake up when we get cold, when we get warm. Also, going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, people complain about this. Oh, I have to go. Actually, it's sound that wakes us up. And then we oh yes, I do need to go. So if you can keep your bedroom as dark as possible and as soundproof as possible, or even fooling yourself like having the ocean or a white noise that like a fan would go, that will fool you into sleeping, and it has helped many people. These are some of the little tricks and tips that I promised you in the first segment that I will tell you about. There are many, many more of these, and I would love to have your questions on what you would really like to know, because this recording is done without a single note, right off the top of my head, what most people want to know. They want to know about food, they want to know about sleep, they want to know what type of exercise, and on that the exercise should be something aerobic, and then every other day something that is doing the muscles. So almost any program, Dr. Oz, 24-Hour Fitness, almost anyone can tell you these. But it is extremely important, particularly with osteoporosis, which is the result of which often is the fall to pneumonia in the hospital. And so the exercise to avoid osteoporosis is extremely expensive. It's extremely important. And now I will conclude tonight's lecture, and hope to talk to you soon, like Anne of 1,000 Days and 1,000 Nights. I look forward to talking to you again.